Amber. Hey, how's it going, people?
Hello.
Over there, dude. That camera.
Hello.
G'day, Steve. How are you?
How you going, Steve? Nice of you to hang around and wait.
You might have gone.
Yeah, you might have. It's on 0.
Well, I'm going back out to Sam. So.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming.
See ya. I might
I
go and
wouldn't say
grab
see
my.
you. You're going to be right there.
You'll hear me.
I'm going to be lazy today and grab my chair.
Yeah. Oh, no, I didn't do that. Cotton mouth.
Are you breathing from my side?
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, just dry mouth for some reason. You're contributing to that pile down there, look.
I'm hoping to. Yeah.
Alright, who stole my glasses? Oh, the glasses toasted. Right. So I chickened out with this thing yesterday.
Why?
I nipped the corner off of it. I was too worried it was going to catch my bloody finger or something.
Well, the simple rule of thumb is don't put your hands past the tool rest.
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to, but it was millimeters from touching the bed. I don't know, I just thought safer moving it a little bit.
Ah, you sook.
Yeah, basically. Like I said, I chickened out.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to mull it out a little bit more. I've got, I drilled 2 screw worm holes just because I wasn't too sure which side I was going to do, and so I'm just got to get that out now, just to maybe take one more pass through there, something like that. I'm going to play around with a light that I got.
Oh, yeah.
So see if I can mount it to down there or something.
It's a bloody strange looking light.
Yeah, look, it's printed on the plastic. No, I got a heat pad as well, but this is the light that I got.
I'll have to have a look.
You go to that website or that company, I suppose.
Yeah, now I want to see what that one looks like.
Hey?
I want to see what that one lights up like.
Well, look, there's the USB port there. See, look at that.
It was a free sample.
Yeah, they had free samples going a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Ask you what you want. And I said a light and a heat mat. And that's what I got. Some Japanese company.
Well, if it's Japanese, it'll be all right. It's only Chinese shit you got to worry about.
It's not super bright because the light goes right through what it's sitting on, but once it gets put in the housing and stuff, I'm sure it'll be brighter. But just for getting into bowls or whatever's, it'll be enough.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Gonna be a bit bulky to fit in though. That's the only
I
problem.
can cut it down. Well, I can.
Well, you can't cut through the circuits or anything.
No, but that's just the look. It's just the bottom half of the plastic. I can cut all the writing and stuff off,
Yeah.
or we can
Oh,
bend it,
Mm-hmm.
bend and flex. It's just a light out of a phone, pretty much. Are you done, Amber?
I've done. I think it's just one piece.
One side of that one piece.
Oh, because I was very sad that I had to just done. I just done 180 240 again.
You're cheating, man.
You can't say that. Second of all, I never have to figure out what I want to write on here.
Was that the family tree one?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's much easier setting up cameras for doing bowls instead of bloody spindles, I'll tell you.
Yeah, because of the length you have to bring the cameras out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it okay to set up though, or was it just as much of a problem as you thought it was going to be?
Why did you not die?
No.
No, it's a bigger pain because this lathe is so long and so wide. It's very hard to get cameras in line with things.
Yes.
So I suppose I could get fancy and put it on the overhead gantry above it, but
just shove it on a pole so you can slide it along with you.
yeah, but the problem is I don't. Well, technically, I'm not allowed to I'm not supposed to climb ladders, you see.
Yeah.
Because of my balance.
Get the neighbour to come over.
Yeah.
Oi.
Hello, Valerie. How are you?
Hello, Valerie. I think Steve left.
Yeah, I'm here.
Don't forget Robbo.
Hello, Joy.
How you going, Joy?
Yeah, that's right, Valerie. He's back on the square bowl again. Hacking more out of it.
Uh, it's a different one. Come on, people. It's don't need to be like that. Watch out. Oh, here, look, I'll show you.
Oh, that's how you show it.
I unplugged it and unplugged it. Yeah, just on the edge here.
Yes, it's been a nice one.
Better than any softener around here. To be fair, there's that bowl, and then there's this one. All right, don't get them confused. So, how's everyone's day, night been, wherever you are? What are you laughing at, dear?
Oh, it's just me.
Okay, just you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that probably would be, actually, Valerie. You must have your volume up, have you, Jay?
Always. Got to let everyone hear the helicopters and stuff, man. Would you want me to mute it?
Hey?
Do you want me to mute it?
No. It's all right. I just heard myself back through the speaker for a minute. That was all. Ah, good day, Dr. Bob. How are you?
Would you prefer to join the mic than be typing, Dr. Bob? I'm good. I'm going pretty well, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm going pretty good as well, all things considered. Dr. Bob said yes.
All right. You want to send him a link? Or me too?
You can. I'm sort of out in the workshop. It gets a bit hard.
All right.
Which light are we talking about, Valerie? That one that Jay had before.
There you go, Dr. Bob sent it. Sorry, Blair was trying to join and he's having computer issues.
Sorry?
I said Blair was trying to join and he's having technical difficulties.
Ah, right.
Oh,
there he is.
Hello?
Hello.
G'day. G'day. I'm the phantom voice at the moment.
Come on. There we go.
Where'd we go?
Little computer issues, but we're good now. Hi, guys.
Yep.
Hi, Joy. Hi, Valerie. Hi, Robert. Hi, Robert. Hi, Joy. Hi, Jay.
I sent Dr. Bob a message on Facebook.
Hello, Amber.
Has Dr. Bob got lost, has he?
Yeah, he hasn't seen the note. He hasn't seen the message yet, so.
Oh, yeah.
Might take a little while to get across the pond, you know.
Yeah, it might be swimming.
Yeah.
Dragging the cable with him.
What kind of cable is it, though?
You're too young to remember, but coaxial cable.
I know what that is. Coax. Yeah, I know what that is. Antennas.
Yeah, when they... Geez, I'll never forget that night when they linked up Sydney and Melbourne on TV, on GTV9, and everybody thought, wow, that's fantastic, you know?
Yeah.
Little did I realise at the time it was the bloody end of the world. Because once upon a time we used to have to rely on newspapers and things for our news, and it was always 3 or 4 days after it happened, so you never worried about it. Now you see it happening.
Yeah. Yes.
Which I think's rather sad sometimes.
That should be alright to go in there just to smooth off the edges a bit, eh?
It should be.
Yeah. Robbo, how you doing?
Ah, good. Yeah.
Dr. Bob has seen the message, so he shouldn't be too much longer. So what's going on with that vase, Blair? You going to get it done or what?
So I had to set it aside because my stepson moved out of the house and he heard that I was making a whole bunch of wands and stuff, and so I've been making wands. And so I gave him some wands, and that thing is still sitting in the chuck and just needs to be finished.
Oh, so you've turned into Harry Potter.
Oh, they're fun to do. They're quick.
Yeah, I haven't tried them yet. I plan to, but I haven't.
Robbo, what have you got going on your lathe?
That's tomorrow night's demo.
He gnawed his leg off.
How to turn a crooked back leg.
Ooh.
We've only got 2 front legs. I don't know whose back legs he's stealing.
Yeah, I'll have to catch that.
Do you want me to send you a link when it's on tomorrow?
It should just automatically pop up. Oops, hold on, gotta mute.
Did you get that message, Jay? Robert had to change computers.
Yeah, I got that. I've got a chopper going, mate. That's why I got it on mute.
Okay. You know, I've never ever used cactus juice.
Yeah.
Cactus juice for what?
It's to stabilise wood and stuff like that. It gets in all the nooks and crannies. You put it in like a toaster oven kind of thing so that it gets warm. And over a period of a couple of hours, it soaks right into the wood, and it just fills in all the cracks and stuff.
Huh. Learn something new every day.
I think that was directed at you, Jay. Valerie likes the... Looks like you spilled the dye bottles. Love the colours.
Yeah.
That must have been on that small bowl.
Yeah, thanks, Valerie. I don't mind it. I wasn't too sure if it was going to work, but yeah, it turned out all right.
Oh, he's doing a bloody pro heart.
Yeah. I'd take the H and put an F on there, but anyway.
But it'd look better with once you get the lacquer on it. That'll brighten it up a bit.
Much more better day to do it. I want to use that the piece with that we cut the bowl tenon off with. I could use that for that bowl, right?
For what? Sorry.
For that bowl. Can I use this? Take the tenon off.
To do the bottom. Yeah.
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 I was just going to wait until I put the lacquer on there, just in case this rubbed off the colour.
Oh, it shouldn't rub off the colour.
That was mainly Valerie. That was mainly computer printer ink. And just some other stuff that I made way too runny. And I had Yorkshire Grit underneath as well to stop it from soaking in as well. But I suppose any type of product like that would do.
Hi, Valerie. Hope you're doing good.
I'll be back in a minute. I've got to go and light the heaters. It's getting freezing here.
Okay. Oh, Dr. Bob's just rocked up. Hey. How are you?
Hey, Dr. Bob.
How you going, Dr. Bob?
Hi.
Sorry about my loud air traffic.
It's either that or trains.
Yeah. The trains are having a rest today. It's the choppers today. Dr.
Well,
Bob,
I've been
just
an
let me
old
know
railroad, Bob.
if the planes or the trains annoy you, and I will mute it when they come on, all right? Because I do it for Robbo sometimes if it gets to me.
Trains don't bother me. I'm
Okay.
have been a model railroader for years, and have even helped work on and build miniature steam.
Oh, nice. Robbo's just putting his heater on. He'll be back in a sec.
I'm right here now.
Oh, look out. I'll mute myself so you folks can chat.
Dr.
How are you,
Bob,
Bob?
wave your hand or something like
Hi,
that. I think
we
you're
talked
frozen.
the other night, and that was fun.
Yeah, sorry.
I
You
heard-
and Blair spoke together, and I haven't got stereophonic ears.
Dr. Bob, I think you're frozen.
Oh,
No, I can see his lips are moving.
no, I seem to be all right.
Yeah,
Though I
He's
got
in
the
a
main
state of-
screen.
he's in a state of a suspended animation.
Well, it's a long way to get that far around the world.
Well, that's what I said. That I thought you might have had to swim the cable across. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, when we were talking the other night there, uh, I had a couple of people that wandered in, and they just couldn't believe I was talking to someone that far away and around the world and down under.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was
Technology's good.
like it was like, do you know how much that bill's going to cost you? So playing innocent, I said no, and then one of them came back, a young man, teenager, and he said that's going to be somewhere around $135.
I remember those days.
I remember the time when you had. Whoa, TV's up, right. I remember the time when we had to book phone calls, and that was just within Australia between capital cities, believe it or not, because all the exchanges were manual.
Good. Oh, yes. Yeah, it's just going on midnight here. About 2 more minutes and it'll be tomorrow.
Yeah, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon here, so yeah, you're 10 hours behind us. Not 10 hours, 12, 14 hours.
Well, I'm a whole day behind right now for another minute.
Yeah. Well, don't worry about getting up. Today's lousy.
Yeah, me neither.
Dr. Bob, I forget where you're at.
Detroit, Michigan.
Blair's in Utah.
Motor City.
Where are you, Valerie? Sorry, I've forgotten.
Everybody seems to be talking.
Yeah, well, Blair's got his TV on behind him, so as Tammy, his wife, can watch it. And Jay's got his muted because of various trains and planes and various other things. He's got all modes of transport that goes through his workshop. That's right, up in Washington State. Yeah. I must admit, my wife loved Seattle when she was there, but then I suppose she only saw the touristy bits anyway.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful state. That in Oregon.
Oh, look at that.
What?
Wife brought me a coffee out.
Sorry?
I got a coffee brought out to me, so the lathe has to stop for a second.
Oh, what a shame. Don't spoil him. Don't spoil him, Amber. Don't spoil him.
No, she's inside. She can't hear you, thankfully. So, is this any type of style or anything? Because I was just grabbing a piece of wood and turning it.
Oh, where's that?
Well, no, not really.
Sorry?
There's not really any sort of style. It can't be called a wing bowl because it's got sort of chunky wings. I don't know what you'd call it actually.
Maybe it's an elephant with wings.
Just there's a train. Just a hole in the middle of a block of wood.
I don't think like that. You're just showing off, man. I'm like, show off. So, Dr. Bob, what have you been up to today?
Yeah, not much. Just attending a symposium online.
Oh, yeah. I did go and have a look at that website. It's very interesting.
I can do that.
Oh, reckon I should. Don't mind
Yeah,
do.
so I hear.
Well, it's only tissue paper. You only need like 10 snips. Don't take much.
I'm not dainty.
She's not dainty, no.
Are you in Washington State by choice, Valerie, or in this chat by choice?
Oh, yeah.
No, I pay people to come in here
Yeah, inside.
with insults. Nice one. Good. Feel full of it today, haven't I?
Oh, right. Okay. I just had to clarify that in my own mind, that was all.
Robbo,
Yes, sir.
is there something else you need to be doing?
Okay, no worries, Dr. Bob.
Oh, okay.
Hey, darling, what's
If you mute your microphone for a while, it might cancel the loop out, whatever's echoing, maybe.
In my case, it's the voices in my head.
You want me to tell them off, Robbo?
Darling, what's that sawdust there for?
Okay.
I'm going to sit there, that's all.
Yeah, I can agree with that, Valerie. Like, it's the same thing over and over again most times.
Oh, wow, I am noisy. You can hear that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this any better?
Yep. Oh, well, I don't know, isn't it?
Yeah. For some reason, I've never used StreamYard, and it dropped behind the YouTube I had open, and I was hearing both of them off the same software.
You got to turn the volume down in YouTube.
Well, I just
Yeah,
closed YouTube.
Yeah. It's best just having StreamYard open if you're in the voice. It'll save your internet a lot of lag too.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I just had gigabit service put in. I just can't believe the speed. It slowed down 860 meg today.
God, I wish I could get 860 meg.
So do I. I've been used to 300 to 500 normally. But when I want to get online to do something, the guys are here always, and the girls are on school, and they enjoy it because they're not only in class, they have a game going off and on the side, or a second terminal or computer, laptop online with other students working projects together. So I just watched the speed disappear. You don't pay for usage. You just pay for speed.
Yeah, well, that's the same there. But this is going to horrify you. My download speed is 32 megs per second, and my upload is 12 megs per second.
That sounds about like mine, Robbo.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
I'm getting 100 meg download and 53 upload.
Yeah, and I got informed by Telstra, our main thing here, that that's as fast as I'll get because of all the copper lines. I would actually like my wife's speed, the company she works for, which is ExxonMobil. It's absolutely phenomenal because they laid optic fibre between all their outlying plants, so they really fly. Half the time they get it before it's sent.
Yeah, it sure seems that way.
But she's working at home now in the real world. She gets very exasperated sometimes when files take ages to come through.
Well, unfortunately, I'm old enough to remember I was a ham radio operator at 10 and doing Morse code. And we were at 10 words, and a word typically at that time was considered 5 characters. We had to do 10 words a minute. So it wasn't hard to do, to get a license, but that got me addicted. And I went up in licenses and speed, and that was my thing when I was in early school, all through middle school.
A friend of mine's a ham radio operator, and I can remember him playing around with broadcasting TV over the ham network.
Yeah. Well, Ham's invented cell phones in Canada. They don't get the credit for it, but that's what they did.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they set them up in the Great Plains in Canada, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and they needed something to be able to talk back and forth between their farm hands, their tractors, and stuff like that that were in the fields, because it's all open and flat. And their ham radio people came up with a system to be able to do it, and every farmer on their land put up these little repeaters, and they repeated, if I was talking to you, it knew I was talking to you, and it would take my voice message and just repeat it to you, and you could be 5 or 6 farms away in your tractor. And they called it cellular technology, and it grew from that to what we have today, and now we don't even use that. In a way, we use it with our cell phones, but now we don't pay long distance because you just get online through Messenger and call people.
Yeah, I reckon it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, being able to speak to someone on the other side of the planet for the cost of your own internet is pretty good.
Yeah, that was something that we used to dream of because I don't know, Robo, you remember Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
The original black and white.
Yep.
And then, and their wristwatch communicators that they used to talk into, or their little handheld thing, which half the time it was a girl's makeup case that they painted over to be some sort of microphone thing. And Dick Tracy's wristwatch, and I have one too that I can use, and it ties to my phone, a Fitbit. And we take it for granted. Listen to him laugh. I mean, but we saw it in the movie theaters, in
That's
the 50s and 60s.
Because we didn't even have TV then. We had to go to the theater and watch the serials of Flash Gordon. God, we're showing our age.
Was that when milk was 5 cents a bottle?
Did you hear that?
What?
Amber's smart aleck comment. Is that when milk was 5 cents a bottle?
About that, that was delivered. Delivered to your front doorstep.
Oh, we had ours. We had a milk chute that it went into. They put it right in the milk chute, and they'd also put the ice in there too. uh,
Well,
to keep the milk cool if you were going to be out of town or be out shopping.
yeah,
But I
no, we
do
had,
remember, yeah, going up into Canada to visit relatives. They for their on their camping uh, cottage, they called it, or something like that, and didn't have electricity, but it had an ice box. And I remember they were high school kids, and he came by in an old beat up pickup truck and brought a block of ice with tongs over, carrying it over his shoulder, dangling
yep,
behind him, so he
yeah,
had the
no,
weight. And he'd put it in the ice box and then remind us to drain the pan on the bottom. And what a
yep.
pan on where he said because it pisses in the ice box as it melts. This is to get everything wet, and he just looked at me and laughed and walked away. But I was about 6 years old. But I remember putting ice in the ice box.
No, well, we used to get our milk actually from the dairy. We'd take a billy down and get it out of the vat before they put it in the milk cans for the trucks to pick up. But yeah, our milky wouldn't stop for breakfast. They were all horse carts around our place, and the horses knew exactly where they had to go. In fact, I delivered milk for about 6 months, and it was great. I could sleep for the 5 miles that the horse took to get home again. The Iceman always had a burlap bag over his shoulder to stop the ice from melting down his shirt. Used to love it in summer, but in winter it was a bit cold.
Yeah. What amazed me at my relative's house in Brantford, Canada, as a kid, is that they still had horse driven milk wagons and bread wagons.
Yep.
And they would come by and deliver the milk. But what got me is the milkman would get out with his little metal basket with milk and cream and stuff in it. And we were there. He'd put a little chocolate milk in there for my brother and I. Uh, and he'd get out and he would drop it off my aunt's house. And then he'd walk behind my aunt's house and put it in the person who lived directly behind my aunt, their milk, come up and put it in my aunt's neighbor. But the horse just kept walking and knew where to stop to meet him after he made that loop. You know, and it's pretty smart horses, and I just couldn't believe that they got used to knowing where to stop and start. And
Yep.
you know, it those were some early days, and I had fond memories of them. But when we talk about them, people look at me and say, "Are you crazy?
No,
Horses can't do that," but they did all the time.
My horse knew the route perfectly. It just used to know when to stop. And we only had one traffic light on the whole route, which was about 30 miles long.
Robbo, you've gone really quiet.
Oh, sorry. And if the light was red, it would stop and go when it went green. It just knew the traffic lights, knew everything. It was a bloody amazing horse. Big Clydesdale.
Yeah.
And I hate horses. They terrify
Well,
me.
they had my aunt that I'm talking about. It was the old family farmhouse, and they had a well in the backyard, and they had upgraded it to a electric pump, but they still kept the old jack pump head on it, so you could go out in case of power failure and pump your own water. Uh, and I've never pumped water from a well before in my life as a little kid. And they'd say, go bring in water because if you're going to use the toilet, you're going to need that to flush it. And I got worried.
Jeez,
And then
you're
I
lucky
bring this
we're...
little bucket of water in, and where do I put it? Next to the toilet. Where do you think? And they're joking, with teasing me, and I was too dumb. I was just a dumb American.
Well, when you were lucky, our toilet was outside for the first 6 years of living in our house.
Yeah.
And the night man used to come around, or the dunny man. Ah, but life was much simpler then too, Bob, I tell you.
Yes, except we still had major threat because then it was the atomic bomb.
Oh, well, that's right, yeah. And the Cuba crisis and things like that.
Yeah, that was much later. But as little kids, we used to have the jingle here, duck and cover, and cartoons on TV showing us how to protect our lives. We'd duck under the school desk and put our hands behind our neck with our fingers closed, and that would protect our neck from uh, glass from the windows so we could survive the atomic bomb.
Well, we never. I must admit, in Australia, we never had that um, at schools because, well, I think they figured we were that far away that it wasn't going to worry us too much.
Yeah, they just, we were in Detroit, and the where all the military vehicles had been made and cars and major industry. So it was a major target, and we knew that. It was one of the
Yeah.
top five targets.
Oh, I agree, Valerie. Every generation has its problems and worries. That's right. Now I don't worry about anything anymore.
Yeah, the only thing I worry about is COVID, because doctors tell me if I get it, just well kiss my ass goodbye. So I got to be
Yeah.
careful.
Well, I'm in the
My,
same position.
yeah, my immune system at my age is downhill, plus being diabetic, not good. But it's from
No,
that
I
Agent
don't.
Orange in Vietnam.
Yeah, I avoided that. Um, I know COVID. Don't get me wrong, Valerie. COVID does concern me, but I work by myself all day, always have, and well, all my outside activities have all been curtailed, so I haven't been anywhere. In fact, I haven't been outside the workshop doors for 9 weeks now. My wife has to go out once a week to go to work to pick up some files and things, and she does all the shopping and everything out for that. But she's 10 years younger than me, so, but uh, no, I think it's a dreadful thing, and the quicker they find some way of fixing it, the better.
Yeah, I think we all know drinking bleach isn't going to work.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe he should try it first.
I
You
thought he had.
practice what you preach.
I thought that's how he got his white hair.
Now, the
Uh,
latest news came out here, about 5 o'clock, maybe 6 hours, 6, 7 hours ago, that the courts finally said, Trump, you got to show your tax records.
that'll be interesting.
They've been fighting it now for 4 years almost. He swore beforehand he'd do it the first day, and he hasn't. And all excuses. They're afraid to find out that a lot of the money comes from the Ukraine and is in Ukrainian banks and Russian banks.
Ah, it might be from
That
China
wouldn't.
too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of government officials that get a lot of kickbacks from all different kinds of countries in China and all that kind of stuff. It's just one of those things.
But it is a jail sentence to do it by federal law. I mean, it's big time jail. And I don't know.
Uh,
I don't know if it'd
what?
be worth it
Even
because there's so many watchdogs watching their local representatives.
even for like business loans or anything like that, would it be? Or are you talking about
Nope.
government?
They can't have any connection. And your taxes and investments are reviewed by an ethics committee, financial ethics committee on a yearly basis. I know even as an employee, when I worked for the government, we had to do that. You don't want to be beholding to somebody if you work in a position of influence or authority.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. Is it just for government instrumentalities, or is it for, like, me as a business, for instance? If I wanted to borrow overseas money, would that be applicable?
No,
No, right. That's what I thought. Hello,
no,
Amy. How are you?
you can look at it and borrow, but there is banking laws that say how much you can transfer in and out without
Oh, yeah,
filing that you're
yeah, yeah,
doing it. You just can't take your casino winnings and you know take them to China with you in a backpack.
yeah. I know you're only allowed $10,000 unless you declare it.
Hello, Amy.
How you going, Amy? How are you?
Oh, well, all I see in your picture is looks like your lathe.
Yes, it is.
You're hiding from us.
Yes.
Is it funny hat day?
No, 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 no. It's just I haven't got the cameras around facing me, so. But no, I'm setting up or halfway through setting up the cameras and everything for tomorrow night's live. That's what I've been doing. So they are what they are at the moment. You can see me sitting down. Wait on, I'll just put it around onto the. Oh no, I can't change. I can't change it in there. Oh yes, I can. There we go. Oh come on, switch across your mongrel. Don't know what's going on. Anyway, no, that's set up for tomorrow night. So
That's his leg there, Dr. Bob, all right?
yeah, here's
The
the phantom
replacement?
hand. There's the phantom hand.
Hand puppets we're into.
Yeah, yeah, Punch and Judy show. Well, Amy, I'm one up on you. I'm eating rum and raisin chocolate actually, but I'm not laying in bed. You lazy bugger.
No, I was when you talked to me. I decided to sit down, lay in bed with a uh, nice soft drink, and Riley, the pit bull here, jumped up to sit on my legs as usual at night till I kicked him off. He has yet to figure out what the Alexa thing is all about.
All right.
This might answer your question. According to Wikipedia, the Thing is a fictional superhero appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics. The character is a founding member
Alexa,
of the
stop.
Fantastic.
Just was telling me the history of the name from Marvel
Oh,
comic books.
right.
Have you got a young lady there with you, Dr. Bob?
Yeah, it's called
No,
Alexis.
I got three of them. I got one in the shop, one in my bedroom, and one here in the living room. I get lazy at time. I use it to turn lights on and off, and in the shop I use it for turning on the fan and air compressor way over in the corner. So I go turn it on and off if I could just have her do it.
Yeah, does it work if somebody else says it from another side of the country, another side of the planet even?
Well, yes, if you had one and you knew the IP address of it, the unique IP address, uh, and I could program them together. They call it drop in. So I could say, talk to Jay, and she'd connect me with yours. And you could talk back and forth. And if you had Alexa's show, they'd bring up the video and you'd have video conferencing. So it'll set that up. I do that when I talk to my brother and my sister.
That's pretty
I'll
cool.
be in my shop and take the tablet on now and just put it in my shop, and I use that when I want to talk to people or join meetings.
Yeah, sounds much easier. I've got a Google Home only because it was free.
Well, they have a lot of features too. They're becoming somewhat compatible. Regardless, we have one of them here, and Ayla, the daughter of the owner that I've known since he was a kid, she has it in her bedroom, and that was a Christmas gift when they first come out from me. And I've moved to the other ones because I like them better after I saw what the limitations were. But they're almost equivalent today. They have about the same capabilities. They just, and you can make them work together, which is kind of nice, where I can connect to it.
Yeah, my brother is in IT. Very good at it apparently. And they bought a new house, and of course, when the kids moved in, he freaked them out because he was in America at the time working in New York, and he was making the TVs go up and down. He was turning stereograms on and off, and lights flashing, and frightened hell out of him. He did.
It's haunted.
Had the heaters starting up and shutting off. They'd go and change the channel on the TV, so he'd change it back again.
Well, I can do that to my sister's house on my phone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just find what is happening today is it's science fiction when we were kids. Every bit of it come up as science fiction, and today it's true. With your video wristwatches, and it's just unbelievable. And like with the Veterans Administration, where I get my meds from for being a POW, they sent me a scale that reports to a database they have that updates my medical records on a daily basis. I have a glucometer, the same thing. My Fitbit keeps track of how much I've walked during the day, and my heartbeat and respiration, and that goes in their records. Yeah, it's Big Brother, but they're keeping track of my medical records, and they adjust my medicine accordingly. I take my own blood pressure, and that goes online back to them. But it saves a trip down to the clinic once a week.
Well, that's right.
So it saves them money. And with COVID, they're at the clinic and the hospital. It's much safer this way.
That's right. Unless your Fitbit gets infected, then you bug it.
Then I pick up the phone and I get another one a day. You don't even need that. I can get on my tablet and connect to a direct pharmacist that will pick up and know who it is, and my records show at the same time, and tell him what the problem is or something's not working right, and he'll walk me through resetting it.
But it's the same with a lot of the trades over here now too. Like plumbers, for instance, can ring up. We've got big plumbing supply places here like Plum Tech and McElwraiths and things like that, and they order the parts on their phone and automatically goes through and invoices it out and designates it to their cost centres and everything else, all automatically.
Yep.
Absolutely astounds me.
It's much more accurate, but it cuts people's jobs.
Yeah, that's the problem, yep.
So where's Blair from or at?
Utah,
Ah,
just out of Salt Lake City.
uh-huh. I have lived there for a bit. Worked on when I was much younger, helping to do some design, electronic and electrical design for a ski resort that didn't get built, but the company I worked for kind of got screwed and bought out by a company that did build it, and we got nothing out of it. Our
Yeah,
stock was worth a penny on the dollar.
I've been in that situation myself years
Uh-oh,
ago.
a drill. Is that a
Yeah,
Mr. Drilly?
no, that's not a Mr. Drilly. This one's much quieter.
It's it's not yellow.
No.
That's become such an inside joke on the internet today.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've got it on mute.
Mr.
Then you guys
Drilly
can
is
chat
on
without
mute.
listening to my
Yeah. No, that's not Drilly. This one's nice and quiet, or reasonably quiet anyway.
Well, Blair, see you back.
Sorry, I was a little bit peckish and had to get a brownie.
What, a
So
biscuit?
what city you in?
I'm in Utah.
But that's not a city. That's a big, dry, flat, caustic state with a ski resort and a lake you can't drown in, and you have to try to drown in. You could walk across it before you drown in it.
Wow. Are you regretting saying where you're from, Blair, or what?
Well, Dr. Bob definitely knows about it, better than the brine shrimp.
I
No,
have been there. I worked on development of a ski resort. I did some work for BYU. So it's I spent about 3 years there, and then Boise, Idaho for a while working there, and then up to Alaska.
You've been
I
in
was
some nice
like Utah.
places. I'm just outside of Salt Lake in a city called Sandy.
It doesn't ring a bell. It might be a new one since I've been there. It's been quite a while. It was 74, 75.
I think about that time it was called White City.
Yes. Okay.
Valerie wants to know whereabouts in Alaska. Bob?
I was in Fairbanks at the University of Fairbanks. I ran the program for documentation of the Alaskan pipeline. I got hired in as a beginner to be a cameraman and a producer, line producer, and I ended up being a senior producer for everything from the middle of the line north to up through the Arctic Circle into the tip of Alaska. Nobody could make cameras work at 30 below like I did, and I kept it a secret how. That's when secrets make you money.
Yeah, that's right.
But I liked it. I liked Alaska quite a bit, and spent quite a bit of time up there hunting and fishing. Did some research up there on my own, on the aurora. And when I was up there, I was lucky enough to just happen to be at the right time in the right place, because the man that was supposed to do it was on a honeymoon, and I got to go to Antarctica for. It took longer to get down than it was that I was there, but I was there for a week filming the aurora borealis, because in Antarctica we discovered that it was second for second light image, all the fingers and all the color and everything was a mirror image on the North and South Pole. One a mirror image of the other, which nobody had suspected. It was just done for a piece, and the film cameras we had a time date stamp lock that put it on the film itself, time and date. They were military surplus. And I said, what the heck, let's make sure they're turned on. And I had some people up in the city of North Pole, Alaska, filming for 2 nights. And I filmed for the same 2 nights down there. Then we got back together again, got them developed, and started cursing at the people who did the processing because they were a duplicate. And we were saying that's impossible, but we found out later it wasn't. That the fact that the aurora is identical mirror image opposite at the same time, of which made the scientists perk up and say, well, it really is the core of the Earth, causing the magnetosphere, because we always see the Earth and the magnetic field that goes out around it and down through the core. And it pulses and changes simultaneously in the core, and it affects the aurora at both sides. But one's upside down compared to the other.
Oh, we've known that for years.
And we were taught that. We were taught they had them, but not that they were identical until 74. And then it was argued quite a bit by scientists, and it was documented again with a second crew from, I think it was France. And after they said it was true, then it became a scientific fact. Because I wasn't a scientist. I was just a cameraman shooting the aurora.
Yeah, well, Valerie also was into photography. And I don't know if you've read her comment there. She was in Juneau during Pipeline and taped hand warmers over the batteries to keep them warm. Hello, young Miss Blair. Pinching the old man's biscuit. Hello.
Yeah, we did the battery belts up there because it used to be you'd heat the camera, but I didn't. I made sure the camera was winterized with a brand new subject product that my brother-in-law knew about, and he's a physicist, works for the government, and it's a liquid, and they use it to lubricate moving parts inside satellites in the 60s and 70s. And it wasn't that it was a secret device or a product. It was just all made for ultra cold use. It was good to something like minus 280 to 300 degrees and absolute zero in its purest state. So it would lubricate in space. And he said that this might work. Use it on some of your cameras. And I had 4 of our cameras winterized with it. We had to do it in a freezer at 10 below zero because that was the warmest it could get and stay in the bearings. But it was called Teflon.
Yeah, that
and it
stuff's
was
everywhere
originally
now.
a lubricant.
Bob, I am learning all kinds of new stuff.
Yeah, I
I've been a
must admit,
research scientist all my life.
That little girl you saw is my youngest. She's 14.
Now, don't take this the wrong way, Blair, but she's much better looking than you are.
I don't think he knows how to take that, Robbo.
My stepdad always says, "This my head. I'll take the retread."
And tell me, Blair, how old was the son that moved out?
He's 19.
Oh, geez, you should have kicked him out 3 years ago.
He was out and he was living with his girlfriend for a while, and then things went south, and he ended up coming back because he didn't have any place to go.
Well, that's different from mine. Mine was 21 when he moved out to go to university. And then when he finished university, he moved back in with his girlfriend.
Geez, is that when you were being a bit kinder back then, were you, Robert, or what?
He didn't take the hint. Like, I put up a room for rent after he left, but
Come on, don't stop with the stories now.
uh, yeah, bugger the wood turning bit. Who's interested in that?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, today I'm an active member in a European group in Great Britain right now, the AWGB. Not quite sure what the initials are, though I know it's almost the equivalent of our AAW, American Association of Woodturners, but for Britain.
Oh, the AWGB.
Yeah. And I'm on a twice a week Zoom meeting with them as input to what we have done here in this country, and different things that different clubs are up to that I know of, and techniques that can help communicate. And I have been turning since 1950, actually 55, 56, and seeing quite a change in tools and stuff like that in my lifetime. And the tools that I used as a kid, I had to swear in a Bible that I would never, ever, on the life of my soul, tell anybody about. And I see most of them common use today. But they were all back in the days in England and Europe particularly, not just the country, but the areas that the Masons, the Masonic lodges, the Masons took care of building not only exterior, which we think of a mason, a bricklayer, or a concrete person, but they also had woodworking and the tradesmen, and it's within their insignias and logos and on their temples and all. And before schools existed that were public, and in England, a public school is the opposite of what we think of here in the States. They're a public school you pay to go to. Here, a public school, it's open to anybody in the general public. So I get used to the little twists between the two, but the tools that he used and learned in Ireland, and his brother, who ran away from home but was taken in by the Masons again in Scotland, both took up woodworking as a trade. Their father did, so it would be my great 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 grandfather. And those secrets were carried all the way down through father and son. And when I decided, I kept hanging out and seeing wood turned on a lathe in my grandfather's shop, and great grandfather. It was on the farm, their homestead here outside Detroit. At the time, it was country and farming area, and it was even a what do they call it? Shaft drive with the big belts. So they had put motors, line drive, yeah,
line shafting.
yeah. They had that, and I remember them turning it on to use some of the older equipment, but the new stuff they had motors for. But tools like a skew, uh, that was a secret tool.
It still is to a lot of people.
Yeah.
No, uh,
Gouges were a bigger secret because that was a skew that was taken and pounded and made, half circle or whatever. And
yeah,
then at this meeting that's going on here in Worldwide Wood Turners, one of the experts out of England was doing a demonstration, actually Scotland, on making spoons, and he pulls up a piece of pipe. To me, it's pipe today, but he used a hole saw, uh, a
yeah,
metal hole saw, but it was uh, high tempered steel hole saw, and he had ground all the teeth off and made it sharp on the 90-degree edge because you'd hone it across the top of it on a wooden handle. And I looked at that thing and it was, oh, holy shit. That was one of those things I used all the time, but every time I had to swear on my soul I'd never tell anybody about it or how it was used. And he's demonstrating it to the world today. So I brought it up with him in chat afterwards. And he said, yeah, that's how he learned it from his grandparents, but he's not a mason, so they haven't come after him yet.
well, actually,
But
I'm a mason, believe it or not, and yeah, you're right. But the world has changed, and manufacturers, because there's no virtually trade wood turners anymore, have to still sell their chisels and everything. So that's where it's all come from. No, we don't
oh
blame
yeah,
we don't blame the Americans, Valerie. In fact, America has done a little bit for wood turning in a lot of ways. They were more into the hollow vessels and things like that, and the tools. That's where the greatest advances in tools have been made in hollowing out uh, big vessels and things like that. The other big the other big improvement was making proper chucks in 1988. The uh, four jaw chuck, when Nova bought out their four jaw chuck, that revolutionised a lot of things. But by the same token, Holz Pfeiffer was using things like that in 1763. So there's not much
yeah.
new in wood turning.
Well, one way in '80s had made the four-jawed chuck, and they made 100 of them for a client that found after they had made them uh, didn't have went bankrupt and they couldn't sell them. And I happened to be visiting relatives out near their factory there in Canada. Their farm is at that time was about 2 miles, 3 miles away, and they were members. They come to the city and they'd talk, and uh, they offered to let me come see some of their new stuff, and they found that I'd turned wood, and they handed me a chuck and said, "You know what this is?" And I said, "I know what it is, uh, but I can't afford them." And he says, "Well, we're selling them off. We can't sell them in Canada because we have a lawsuit in England against making them. So we're going to sell them for scraps." So my first two chucks I bought for $10 a piece because that was scrap price, and three sets of jaws for each of them.
Oh, that's good. What were they? Were they like the multi-star chucks? Were they?
Well, they're just like the chucks we use today. The
Oh yeah,
one-way chuck.
with a scroll chuck.
Yeah, it was a scroll chuck instead of a three jaw, because
Oh
one
yeah,
way is a machine part manufacturer.
yeah,
And they
that's right.
also
Yeah.
manufacture, because of a feud within their family years ago, they do a lot of welding, stainless steel welding for industrial facilities. all over Canada. So they have multiple offices and even a portable factory they can take, and I think it's like in 9 or 10 semis, haul somewhere and set up a factory to make stuff to outfit uh, other factories, with all the stainless steels that they need for water or gas or whatever, all welded together, no, all, the fancy stuff.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's what the other side of One Way does. And they also do stuff for dams, hydroelectric plants, and their wood turning is just a side thing for them.
yeah. I knew their lathe manufacturing was just basically a sideline for them.
Yeah, and they're really nice people. I mean, you could walk up the door, walk in, and you'd walk into a machine shop, and they'd come see how you were doing, and if they could help you, and you tell them you're a wood turner, they'd turn you over to one of the brothers, and he'd offer you a coffee and want to ask if you wanted to look around and see, or you just want to go out front and see what they have on the for sale on the desk.
Yeah,
But I've called them because I've had problems with the chuck, and almost overnight before the COVID, within 3 days, I'd have the part that was bad.
yeah. I must admit, I've never used. Well, One Way don't export. I've never used one of their lathes or anything else. Same as the American Beauty, like the robust lathes, or the Mustard Monster too, Powermatic. I've never used one of those either. But I'll just stick with my big Wadkins. They're big enough beasts.
Well, the big mustard, that's what I have. It's a very old one. The serial number is a low one, but
Yeah,
since it was given to me, I'm not complaining because it's under warranty still. Uh, is the fact that it is rock solid, and it's a casting that is used by other lathes that are sold but not on our continent.
yeah,
The
yeah. I know
headstock
that.
casting changes, but that's about it for sale elsewhere.
Yeah, no. Well, you can't get much. The one that I'm sitting next to now, this one here,
Yeah.
that's 5.5 ton of lathe, and it's actually set into concrete because it's got to be bolted down so as it stays perfectly level all the time.
How many horse motor do you have on it?
3 horsepower, but they're Clydesdales too. They're not Japanese pit ponies. I tell you, if you ever if you have a catch in them, you've got to have a bit of ballast on you, or you get flicked over the top of the lathe.
Oh yeah, I got a 3 horse, but the controller doesn't let me have it. It's just so I can't get to the full torque for 3 horse on it when it goes up in speed. It's got a braking resistor that kicks in, and I only found that out because I am curious. So I started pulling manuals down for anything that had a part number and electronics on it.
Hmm. Yeah, no.
But I've got mine. I put a second power switch on it, remote, and I got a wireless remote I can clip on my shirt. If I have someone else turning, I'm supervising, I can hit that button and it'll come to a stop
Yeah, well,
wirelessly.
I must admit, all my lathes are doubles, with the exception of one. They're all double switched, so as I can switch them off while I'm teaching. But this this Wadkin's an interesting one actually because it runs a triple V belt up into a gearbox, believe it or not, that's got straight cut gears into it, and that's how it gets its speeds. And it's a pretty interesting thing to use. And unfortunately, it's a bit noisy. That's all because of the gearing in it. But it's a great machine to use.
I saw a big lathe like that probably about 15 years ago out in a small town, Jackson, Michigan. It was in a, I don't know what you'd call a shop. They actually made cars back in the early days at Jackson, and that's when they made buggies and coaches before it. But the city itself, their history in architecture is Victorian with the big pillars. And
Yep.
they had a lathe in there that would turn the pillars. And it was 16 feet. So
Me a
they
baby.
could, yeah, it had an overhead crane that would bring it in a chain fall and sit it on there. And they also turned wagon wheels. And they
Well,
had a vertical lathe that was just this big flat disc that you bolted your wood to. And you had a stand in front of it that you would move around and you could work with something big. And it had a 3-horse. But it was all line shaft originally, but evidently over the period of time, the people had converted it to motors.
yeah.
And I
No,
kept drooling over that. Now, and they said, "You want a lathe? You can come get it. It probably weighs about 5 tons."
well, here, this is what it looks like. I've disconnected one of the cameras, so hopefully it'll come up. Where are you?
Hey, Jaffrey.
It's going off.
Hey Yappy, how you going?
Just bear with me a minute. What's that one? Where's this one? Just got to plug the camera in, what off.
Gentlemen, I think I'm going to step on out and go to bed. You guys
Just wait half a second, Blair.
have a good day.
Rightio.
All right.
That's the headstock on it. All the way down to the floor there like that. That's all the controls and everything up there for it. That's the motor on it. It weighs about bloody 150 kilos. Swinging around. That's the tail stock. It weighs 180 kilos. Now you were saying it was a 16-foot lathe, Bob. Try
Yeah,
40.
the one that
Try
they had.
try 40 feet. It's in behind that cupboard. The headstock's in behind that cupboard. And then we swing right through here. And the tailstock's right down there, out of the way. We've got overhead gantries right all the way through the workshop. It looks like a railway line in the roof, which should make Jarpy happy. Oh, wait
Did you inherit that or did you buy it?
No, I actually had the 40-foot one custom made, but the other one, the Wadkin, sorry, the battery's flat in this camera. I bought the Wadkin. In fact, I bought it from not far from where Jay lives, out at Salisbury. It was a factory that was closing down, and I learnt to. You can take me out of there now, Jay, if you like.
Can you bring it back, please?
Yeah, wait on. I've got to wait for the battery to charge up a bit.
I was talking about the lathe, Robbo.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. No.
So what do you turn that's 40 foot long? Or is that for group turning?
No. We actually occasionally we have 3 or 4 lathes on it, like we can bolt other lathes down onto the bed of it, but we turn flagpoles and big columns and things like that, so it keeps us out of mischief. This one here will turn, the big Wadkin here that I'm sitting beside, that'll turn 12 feet between centres and up to 800 millimetres in diameter. And when you've got a bit of timber like that on, you make sure that everything's absolutely right. So I don't know why this camera's not charging up, but it's...
So that's what you're training Jay to take over?
There's about 100 people that have got dibs on the Wadkin, I know that.
say that wouldn't fit in my backyard, let alone my shed.
Well, we actually had to modify the shed to fit the big one in. I had to cut two walls out to put the headstock outside and the tailstock inside. So we put a big door in one end of the workshop.
How many horse drives it?
3 horsepower, believe it or not, and that's amply sufficient for everything.
Does it have a transmission for
No,
speed?
the big one is belt drive. It's got twin belts on it. It's got a pulley set on it that's huge, but no, it's got sufficient grunt.
Constant speed?
No. Actually, it's got how many speeds? It's got 43 speeds on it that go up through. It's got counter gears in it. We had to fit a counter gear in to slow it down. It goes from 27 revs to well, if you get the belts reversed, 12,000 if we wanted it to. But the motor's not powerful enough to pull 12,000. Don't ask me how I know that.
Well, when we have a shop tour, that's something we do every year. People put together shop tours. I'm going to have to get you online with a tour of that. And I know the European one, they just are getting ready to do their shop tours.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm going to send you a link to join in so you can show off what you got. Because they'll have this, what is it, a phallic problem, they say? Uh, who's got the biggest lathe?
Oh, yeah. Well, there was an 80-foot lathe actually in the shipyards in Melbourne here, and it was actually a red gum tree that they used for the bed, and the buggers. It was for doing all the ship's masts, for making the ship's masts.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, they chopped it up for firewood.
Yeah, in Boston, that was a big place for building early ships for our country. And the federal park system here, years and years ago, restored a couple of the ships, early ones, but they also put together the what do you call it? The shops, multiple shops that it takes to build a ship.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of the early ships actually had an extra mast in them, stored in them.
That's right, yeah.
And it was such that it was in two pieces, but could be bolted together or something and tied together with the special type of wood lap joints that fit tight, and then wrapped with rope and leather thongs wet, and so it shrinks to hold it. And they go through all this as you go through. But that's been the biggest lathe I'd ever seen, but yours outdoes it. But they said that their real big stuff they had, they just didn't have any more because people would sell them for scrap metal before the
Yeah.
Park Service could come and get it.
Yeah. Well, there's an interesting picture on not Facebook, but around the traps. I forget the name of the lathe now. It'll come to me in a minute. But it was manufactured in America, and it was something like 120 feet long. They had the whole workshop employees lined up along it. Absolutely fascinating. I thought, yeah, I'd like to get that. So,
Well, Cindy's coming up with is it next week? Yeah, late next week, another class. You think you two might want to attend it again? She been very pleased. She talks about even during this woodturners program that we have, worldwide woodturners, she did a class. And afterwards, she did a full Zoom thing for people who wanted to just sit and chat with her. And she had questions like, "Who's the farthest away that you've ever had attend your classes?" And you two came up in the conversation just a little while ago. We had them from Southern Australia, but I have to schedule the time right, so at least they don't fall asleep during it.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, yeah, I'd be in that for sure.
I'd be interested as well, Rob. Yeah.
I don't know if I can get the free passes, but I'll give it a try again. Well, I bought the
Uh,
last two, but
I
I mean
don't
it's
mind paying.
$10 US, which isn't much.
Yeah, I'll pay this
yeah.
time. How about that?
It's fine. I know she really enjoyed the fact that she had people from that far away.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Definitely worth going back. That's for sure. Loved it.
Oh, she is fantastic.
I'm done today.
Oh, that was my wife in the background.
So you need to go on her site and get a ticket.
Yeah, I'll go and check that out. The last time I went and had a look, her next couple of demos were like 3 o'clock in the morning for us. So.
Yeah. Well, you just go to bed early or have your wife
Yeah.
kick you out of bed.
Yeah. Yes.
I must
I'll go
admit,
and have a look when I go.
sometimes I'm awake at that time of the night. Anyway, yeah, that's the same thing happened here, Yarpy. They reverted some of our big cattle stations back to Aboriginal ownership, and they were all profitable when they had white managers in, but they decided to kick the white managers out and run it themselves. Within 2 years, they were bankrupt.
Yeah. Well, we went through that with a lot of the Native American tribes, and because they were used to being taken care of, but the problem is a lot of them uh, got in office because they knew somebody or because of lineage and not knowledge.
Yep,
You know, it's who was your father and your grandfather and so on and so forth, or who's your drinking buddy that buys you the beer, and they think something is easy to do, but you got to have people who are educated to do those jobs. Uh, and sometimes you have to learn the hard way.
that's right. Ah, good morning, Tommy.
How you going, Tommy?
Oh, good afternoon it is here, but morning to you, I know.
Well, it's 1:11 in the morning here.
She's
At
on
least we're in the
overtime.
same day.
Yeah, and so I've told you it's a lousy day, isn't it?
Well, at least you've told me what to expect.
Yeah, that's right.
A soothsayer.
Oh, I just gaze into the crystal ball occasionally, that's all.
Well, you've already seen the day go by. I
Well,
mean,
nearly.
it means that there isn't. Have you seen an atomic explosion somewhere in the world?
No, not yet.
So it's not going to happen for me.
No, well, that's right. That actually was, I think I've told you before, when 9/11 happened, there were quite a few things on Facebook and various other things that, why didn't Australia warn us? Because they're a day ahead of us. They could have told us it was going to happen, you know.
Yeah, we have idiots. They're everywhere. Some people just do not believe in school.
No.
It's like when Trump was here 3 weeks ago in Michigan, upper part of Michigan. They brought people in by buses from two other states, Wisconsin, because it's just a ferry ride across uh, the Great Lakes there, and buses from lower Michigan and the Upper Peninsula, and brought them all into a small community. He brought in more people that lived in the community.
Yeah,
But it was interesting the COVID problems that they're having today. And that's spreading all over the world before anyone's ever, they're tracking it, but you just can't keep up with it to see how it gets spread so much.
yeah, oh yeah, I know, and it's rather, I know it's terrible in that, but it does show you how networking actually works, doesn't it?
Yes, and it's something we can trace and put on a map, and
That's right.
it really is interesting.
I like I I had a go at a friend of mine who's a wood turner. He put a video up on YouTube, and I had a real crack at him because it was totally unsafe. Now I'll qualify that it was unsafe for a beginner, but for an experienced turner, it is quite normal to do what he was doing, right?
Uh-huh.
And anyway, I had a go at him, and I said, "Look, just can't put that up there." I said, because if somebody sees that, they're going to tell 5 people, and those 5 people will tell 10 more, and by the time you got it, there's suddenly 500 people that are doing this and getting into real trouble with it. So, oh no, 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 that doesn't happen. Anyway, I remember a demonstrator once who called a particular tool something that it wasn't, and a lot of us had hell's own job for about 4 years to convince people that no, it wasn't called this, it was called something else, because the 100 people that were at that demonstration went out and told 300 more people, and suddenly the tool was completely renamed. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, seen that happen. Well, you, there used to be a game, and I forget the name of it, but in college, uh, it was a stupid game, we thought, but you were to write a note like you would to your buddy in elementary school on a piece of paper and pass it to him. And the
John,
teacher would start off and give the first note to one person, and it had to be rewritten and go all the way around through some 20, 30 people. In college, it was over 150 because this was held in an
Chinese whispers,
auditorium. Yeah,
Chinese
but it was
whispers.
in writing, and that we had a
Yeah,
trace in writing of how it changed and evolved. And that
yeah,
was really interesting. It was a marketing class.
yeah. No, we did the same thing with something we were doing once, and but it was a verbal one, Chinese whispers, and it was actually to
Yes.
get it was actually to train uh, runners virtually to repeat exactly what was told to them, not make up things, you know.
Yeah, we had that in the military.
Yeah, well, that's where
But
ours was too.
it was, I don't know if it ever worked, but I remember going through that training. But then again, you can show a picture and a dozen people will see it differently. And there are pictures intentionally made that way. We can turn it upside down and there's something there different than it is right side up.
Yeah, well, we
And
did the
that was used to demonstrate that you didn't look at it thoroughly enough, did you?
well. When my dad was a school teacher, was involved in psychology and various other things, and as an experiment, we got the police, the ambulance, and the fire service and everything. We did a mock kidnapping in a street. Now, the woman was wearing a bright red dress with a black hat. The van, the van was painted bright blue with a yellow stripe, and it had a name on it. Now, it was done on a Saturday morning, which was a popular shopping time at our place. It was done in front of 200 people. They got 185 different versions of what the witnesses saw. It was a red van with a black stripe. It was a red van with a yellow stripe. It was a woman wearing a blue dress or this. And they could not believe how bad it was. So the police had to change their way of getting information after that to a large extent as witness accounts. They had to work out who was telling the truth and who wasn't. You know, it was an interesting psychological exercise.
Yes. We had that in the military. It was a thing we had to do in basic training. And based on tests like that, they helped route the individuals to different types of corps for training.
But it's the same as peer pressure. Like, I was heavily involved in scouts. I was a scout leader for a number of years. And we had Monash University, which is a big university down here. They were trying to work out the effect of peer pressure and how much of an effect it has on things. And we have a big thing out here. It's a big scout camp. Over 1,000 scouts take place. It's called the Hoadley Hyde. And they camp over Easter for 7 days. So they selected our troop to go around and complain bitterly about everything. The weather was too bloody cold, and bear in mind the kids were intense in these days. Anyway, they had to complain about everything. It was too cold, it was too this, it was too that. Their food supplies weren't good enough, blah, blah, blah. Within 4 days, we had 1,000 miserable kids on our hands. Then they came in and said, right, now we want you to go around and say, oh, this is the best place ever, blah, 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 you know. Like, this is 30 of our kids. We had five patrols. Within 2 days, man, that was the happiest place on earth, I tell you. So peer pressure plays a great deal, and how you present yourself plays a great deal in how other people feel about things, you know.
Oh yes, the human being is a social animal, and you can go crazy if you're taken away from society.
Yeah. No. Yarpia was a gouge. He called it by a name that it just wasn't. He called it spindle gouge, a detail gouge or something, and we just had a hell's own job of trying to rectify the problem. But when the manufacturers even stuff up the names, you've got real troubles. Yeah, sorry, Jay, we're ignoring you.
I'm sorry? Who's this again?
We're ignoring you. Don't worry about us.
What do you expect out of a earworm?
Oh, that's fine. I don't mind.
I like the wood.
In Australia, we call it earwig.
Earwig.
Yeah.
Not like the Brits.
No, it's got to be different. It's actually only pine, Bob. That's all it is, just radiata.
Oh. End grain, it looks like.
No, it's actually
side grain. It's odd because it's. But the grain goes all around it.
Yeah, it was a post.
I'll show you
William Tell, second overture.
Sorry, right of the Valkyries.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's right. That's yours, I take it.
Yeah.
Classic music.
Yeah. My work music.
See? That's where I got it from, a piece like that.
But at least you don't have the pith in it.
No.
No, it's free of heart, which is good.
Good practice wood.
Yeah, it is, yeah. I get free stuff. I like to practice with that more now.
Yeah, I finally persuaded him to get some decent timber to at least play with, you know.
Well, softwood's a good way for practice. I mean,
Yeah, I get.
it's so much easier to cut and learn to handle the bevel. And I don't know.
And
I often will load up softwood and just tear the ever loving out of it practicing cuts.
I, I quite agree with you, Yarpy. But the media play on peer pressure a hell of a lot. So do musicians and various other things. So um,
Well, you got to back up. It's not media that does it. It's money. It's
oh,
advertising.
definitely.
It all boils down to everybody is worth so much money in spending, and you cater to the highest spending groups that you have. And if you
Sorry,
don't have them, you create them.
that's right. Tommy, no, softwoods teach people how to cut properly. If you can't
Yep.
cut softwood, then you're just wasting your time. Your tools aren't sharp enough or you're presenting them wrong.
Hey
Yeah,
Tommy,
I was.
do you need Robbo to come and earwig on you and shout at you every now and then? That might help you.
All my students that use pine to start off with, so that they get the cutting action right.
Yeah, I do too.
Sounds like
Did
you're
you
about to
know?
go to war or something
Sorry,
there, Rob. That music in the background.
sorry.
I said it sounds like you're about to go to war or something.
Oh, it was
Yep.
used in apocalypse. It was used in Apocalypse Now with all the helicopters flying out of base. That's why. That's what everybody uh, re- refers to it. That's what the
But it,
reference is.
yeah, but it's actually from an opera.
Yeah, it's from Wagner. Wagner, actually.
Wagner,
So,
yeah, that's
yeah,
Wagner.
yes.
I guess some of the older music is still popular with youth today,
Oh,
but they don't know its beginning.
no,
So, but if they
that's
did, they wouldn't listen to it.
exactly that's right. No, thanks, Joe. What was that in reference to, Tommy? Sorry. Oh,
Oh,
to me,
I
yeah.
asked him if he wanted to be earwig. Yeah.
I don't yell much. Unless you go
Only,
to do.
only enough for them to know they don't want you as their earwig.
No, half my problem is I'm too brutally honest.
I think they just need to grow and see it. It's not that hard to listen to someone when they're saying something, even if they're yelling it at you.
Well, sometimes that's the only way to get through.
Either that or just the opposite, ignore and walk away, and then you wonder what have they done.
I,
Let them figure it out for themselves.
I've done that. I've sort of turned the eyes upwards, and go, oh, well, and turn around and they say, well, what did I do wrong? Just have a look
Yeah.
and work it out.
Yeah, shunning is not something you see done a lot today. That's it's quite old.
I've actually found the hardest people to teach, funnily enough, are ex-fitters and turners that have been used to using metal lathes. They have a great deal of trouble working out that they've got to hold the tool, you know.
Yeah, and they don't have to hold the tolerance to 10 thousandths.
No, well, yeah. Although I must admit, some of our jobs we're down to thous.
Yeah, they're not just used to sanding to get there.
Uh, we used to make a lot of molds for ceramicists, and I tell you what, some of the tolerances on those were phenomenal. Yes, quite agree, Yarpy. Some of them are. They're taking stuff that's well out of copyright and incorporating it into their own little tunes. The king of chisels, Tommy. The king of chisels, the skew chisel.
Yeah, and the one they get the best argument out of is the angle. Not only the bevel, but the angle. Everyone's got something they prefer and they want to copy someone else's, which I think is being done by the tool manufacturer, so you can't grind it down too quick and buy a new one.
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, up until about 150, sorry, up until about 150 years ago, it was actually sharp and straight across. Didn't have an angle on it at all.
Yeah, that's what I found my grandfather. He had some that way. But shear cutting wasn't a big thing. I mean,
Oh,
those that did a lot of flat work understood shear cutting with if they had to use a jack plane or a finish plane and cut across the grain to get the best cut. Then they would they would have the skews on an angle the way they matched their jack or hand plane.
yeah.
But if they didn't do that kind of work, they didn't know about the fact that the cutting angle is important. You ever use a bow lathe?
Do I use a bowl lathe?
BOW?
Oh, a bow lathe.
Yeah.
Yes, I've had a go on one of those, and I've also had a go on a treadle lathe, and either the pole lathes as well.
Yeah, we have
Pole,
in our area, Detroit area, and it goes from uh, Chicago, a big circle all the way around, including Toronto, and it goes down to the Indiana border. We get together at major cities for mini conferences. This year we couldn't. It was all set in Chicago. But one thing that the clubs have, the one that's down in Indiana, that they bring is a bunch of wooden lathes, and they set them up, uh, and they're there for anyone to try. And they supply the wood and tools to use that would have been period, just to
yep.
see if you could turn something. And they had competitions where it was judged at the end of the 4 days over who did the best on that whole lathe, whether treadle or bow. And they had a third lathe, two or three, but one of them had a hand crank on the end of it, so you had an assistant turn the crank.
Yeah,
And
well,
it would
that
go
was the
one
way.
direction then.
That was the way that the early works were. They had people that spun the flywheel to keep it rotating in the same direction because, well, with a pole lathe, you're always got one direction where it's going backwards.
Yep. But you can learn to use it. I learned the trick to it. They had a class in how to use the old lathe, but on a bow lathe, you kind of worked on your heel and your toes, and you
Oh yeah.
rocked with the bow. So
Yep.
you presented the tool when the wood was coming to you, and you rocked back to pull it away.
Yep.
And that was part of the rhythm of using a bow lathe, but it's a bodger's lathe
Yeah.
that comes out of England, Ireland, for chair makers.
Yep. And believe it or not, there's still a couple around in England that still do it.
Yeah, and then they find them in the pyramids too, in the ancient carvings, the same lathes,
Yeah.
bow lathes.
It's funny. Like, I'll just answer Yarpy first. Yeah. That's actually one of my favourite Roy Orbison songs. Actually, I drove all night. But it's interesting that the drawing that they found in the pyramids of them using a bow lathe up until about the 13th or 14th century, apparently, they didn't know how to get perspective in pictures, and they always thought that the picture in the pyramids was actually a vertical lathe. If you have a look at the picture, it looks like it's vertical instead of laying down flat. So
Oh yeah,
they all, they always made assumptions that it was they were turning it vertically, and then they worked out that no, they didn't have any idea of perception or perspective of how to get it to lay down flat. And they were using it the same way. Like, I love watching some of the videos of the Moroccan turners and things like that sit on the ground and operate the bow with one hand and turn with one hand and their foot.
oh yes. One nice thing, and I found it on YouTube, and the AAW had it in their library, is Worldwide Wood Day, or Wood Week, Wood Month, whatever it is. And our American Association of Woodturners, they sponsor like 20 people to go wherever it's at, and all their food and transportation to go to show what we do in woodworking.
Yeah.
Well, they also think camera people, and they've documented 4 of them now, and they have them in their library. And it's fantastic to watch the people just sit there and use their toes for holding things while they're doing stuff. And the street turners and the gorgeous stuff they're turning out. And we turn
Yep.
around and spend $5,000 on a machine to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And they've only got one chisel that they sharpen on a brock.
Yeah. And only one side is sharp. They don't
Yeah,
sharpen both sides.
that's right.
They don't want to waste the steel.
No.
Have you seen YouTube videos about the wood turners in Southeast Asia when they sit or kneel down and do
Yeah.
not even kneeling, they're just on the
In fact, on one
squatting.
job, yeah.
They
In fact,
squat
on
and they turn stuff for temples.
yeah, I've adapted one of the Japanese turners' idea of using the wooden tool rest. You just have a post, and on a couple of jobs, it's easier just to have the block of wood that you actually move around instead of the rest. It's
Yeah.
particularly for doing bowls. Tommy, you've got to get with the thing, man, and do real turning. In other words, turn spindles. That teaches you how to turn.
Yeah. Beads and coves, beads and
Yeah.
coves.
Do you hear that, Jay? Beads and coves.
Did someone just swear on my channel?
You should be able to do them almost blindfolded. Though it's dangerous, we can't tell you that, because then if you hurt yourself, you could sue us.
No,
But
I
it,
told
it
Jay
should,
that.
it, you should be able to carry a conversation on with somebody and still do beads and coves, because it's second nature. It's
That's
like
right.
tying your shoes.
No, I told Jay that my teacher, who happened to be a Yorkshireman, who was a proper wood turner, he worked in the factory in furniture making. and 36 hours I did nothing but beads and coves. And when I said to him, I said, look, mate, when can I stop doing this? He said, when you can do this. And he set up a piece of wood, he laid it out, and he stood there and talked to me, facing me while he did beads and coves. He said, when you can do that, he said, then you can stop doing it. So I did. And he said, right. He said, time to move on to something else now.
Yeah, that's how it was when I was a kid. But I had the worst of all, and when I understood from my grandfather, because it was my great grandfather, the old SOB in the family, and he was in his 90s, and it was his shop, even though his son, my grandfather, used it all the time as his apprentice. But he was the boss at 95. It was his shop.
Yep,
Is that sharpening tools to go through the different stones, and there were 7 stones you went through to get a sharp edge. And I would go through them, and there were plane irons. And a few times I was able to do his cheap chisels that he was teaching me to use, wood chisels. And I'd go through and do it, and he'd look at it, and he'd simply take the chisel and he'd test it, and then he'd take and he'd jam it in a piece of hardwood and just bang it with his fist into the blank so it dulled it, and bent the edge over. Nope, wasn't sharp enough. Try again. And
yep,
then finally, after a couple of weekends of doing that, he was trying to make me give up. And my grandmother gave me that hint over lunch one day, with a Saturday this was happening. I was about 12, and if you give up, you won't be back in his shop as long as he's alive. And I was bound to be able to prove him. And my grandfather was standing there all the time watching me and putting up with it. Didn't say a word because it was his father.
yep,
And I would get through them and get through them. And the second weekend, and I had like 6 or 7 of them to sharpen. They were all flat. There was no curved chisels because I wasn't supposed to know that they existed, because that was a secret,
yep,
just like gouges. But I would get through in a plane iron, and I'd have it, and he'd always test it on his arm for hair. And I said, I can't do that, Grandpa. I don't have any hair anywhere to do it. And I can't do it on my head because I don't know if I'm cutting anything because I can't see it. So he took the sheet of paper and he showed me how to see if it would cut a sheet of paper, fold it in
yep,
half so make it a little thicker. And I would get close. And then he'd say, no, but he didn't at that point, and I didn't catch it the second week. He wasn't taking and pounding the chisel into his bench or a block of wood. And he'd say, start over. And I would, from the very beginning of the sequence. And finally, I remember getting it right on the second or third day. It was summer break, and I got it right. And he said, it cut the hair on my arm, so it's good. But now you got to get the rest of these. They're almost. And I went back to look at going back to the 80 grit stone or whatever it was. He said, why are you doing that? I said, because you said I start from the beginning. He said, I didn't tell you that. I told you that when I was teaching you initially. Don't you have brains to only go to the point that needs to be sharpened at and go up from there? And it was, well, I'd thought about it, but I didn't want to get yelled at. It doesn't matter. If you know it's right, stand up for it. And if it's wrong, I will tell you and tell you why. And that was the biggest lesson I learned in teaching.
yep,
Because I put so much extra going back to 80 grit and working my way up to pumice. And then
that's it.
having him bang it on the wooden bench and bend over the edge and dull it. I was so mad at that old fart. My grandmother
My,
would just say, Bob, just use your brain. I can't tell you what to do, But she said, I know what you're going through. Your grandpa went through that with him.
Yep. My boss was a bit of a mongrel, a very consistent mongrel, but a perfectionist as well. And one of my jobs was to sharpen the drills if I did something wrong, right? Boy, did I sharpen a lot of drills in the first 12 months. What he did was unbolt the grinder from the bench. And he said, if you move it, you're pushing too hard. And that was the best lesson I ever learnt. Because if you moved the grinder, meant you were pushing too hard.
Yep.
But
Is
no,
that his camera shifting color?
no, what's happening is he's walking backwards and forwards in the light.
Oh.
Because it's only daylight, virtually. Yes, pen
It's a
turning
beautiful piece of wood.
pen turning is spindle turning, Jarpy and Tommy. I will agree with that. Just that I don't do pens.
Oh, Dr. Bob, my shed is only 3 metres long by 1.5 metres wide, so you'll see lots of shadow movement in mine.
It's almost the size of an overgrown coffin.
Yeah.
The compact turner.
No. Yeah, Keith, my boss also taught me the 3 P's of life. When I started my apprenticeship as a motor mechanic, he gave me a packing crate full of the car parts, all the tools, the workshop manual and all the parts. And he said, right, son, like I'm 15 years old, he said, right, son, he said, now I want you to put this motor together and it's got to run at the end within your 3 months probation. And I said, yeah, okay. I had that thing together 4 or 5 times and it still wouldn't run. On the 5th or 6th time, man, it started up and my head was that big that I couldn't fit out the workshop doors. I was so proud of myself. And he said, right, now paint it up. And of course in those days there was only one colour you painted motors, and that was black. So I painted it, we loaded it onto the trailer, and I thought, oh great, he's going to deliver it to the customer. He said, right, come with me. So we drive around the back of the town for a while and pull up at the tip. He said, right, now untie it and kick it off. Well, talk about deflated. Anyway, I'm nearly in tears. And he said, son, he said, you're pretty upset, aren't you? And I said, yep. He said, son, you've learnt the 3 P's of life. And I said, oh yeah, what's that? He said, well, first you've learnt perseverance. He said, keep at something long enough, you'll eventually get it. He said, you've learnt patience. He said, that's like perseverance. You've got to have the patience to keep going and not do your lolly with things and get it right and eventually work out. He said, but the third and most important P is that you will be pissed off. For 99% of your working life, you will be pissed off at least once or twice a day. And he was right. Because for the last 55 years I've been working, there's at least something that pisses me off at least once during the day. But I've added a 4th P onto it. Practice. Practice will fix most things.
Yeah. Because practice, it's odd. I think practice, it's part of learning. But you probably already know what you're practicing and you know how to do it.
Yeah, I'm just about to yell at Jay. Jay, open the flute up. Bring it round to 45 degrees. That's better. Good, thank you. Yeah, that's the problem, Yarpy. Man, I've put through 27 apprentices over the last 40 years I've been in business, and I tell you what, there's some kids I'd really like to foot one in the bum and tell them to get on with it, but you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, you don't want to hurt their feelings.
No, they might get
Precious
offended.
feelings.
Yeah,
Or they turn back and sue you. Defamation of character. and then in 10 years blame you for their failure in
Oh yeah,
life.
that's right. Yep.
How did you and Jay meet?
He was having trouble, and I was going to South Australia to do other lessons over there. So I went and did my lessons, and then I went down to Jay's place and showed him basically what he was doing wrong. And I've probably been back there about 5 or 6 times this year, except for COVID, so I can't. So I've had to do it over the video.
How far are you apart?
About 900 kilometres.
That's a drive.
Oh yeah, a day's drive for me.
Must be a special kid for you.
Well, don't tell him this, but I could see that he was willing to learn, and if people are willing to learn, I'm willing to teach.
Amen. Well, that's why, I got him to sit in on Cindy's class and covered that. Uh, and it was interesting because I've seen the demo before and stuff like it, but I was more watching him on the Zoom,
Yeah,
the page that he was at. And you don't know when people are watching you in Zoom. But I was watching him quite a bit, would flip over to him. He logged in so quick, it was only 2 away from me. And his attention was right there.
well,
It was like some teenager in a peep show,
yeah,
watching everything and every detail.
yeah. Now this is going to sound bombastic and arrogant, right? And I don't mean it to be. After turning for so long, there is not many things that I learn or think. What I watch now in a demonstrator is how they teach, to see if I can
Yes.
pick up any pointers that they're doing, right? Because you can't know it all, but there's not many things in wood turning that people really can't teach me. But as far as teaching goes, I've got a fair bit to learn, I'd say. So, and I like watching how they demonstrate as well to pick up clues on that too. So,
Yeah, I wrote Cindy a letter today, email, after we had a really interesting hour and a half or so in that worldwide wood turners. It's quite an event, and the software running it is really good. It's got some bugs, but I'm sure this group has shook it out. It's used in corporate training and educational training in college.
whoa, you all right, Jay?
Yeah, I always stand at the back of my lathe when I'm turning like that anyway.
Yeah, well,
so nowhere near
Right.
it.
I was about to say to you, check your tailstock because they come loose.
Wow,
Yeah.
look at that.
Is that a little funky? Wood.
Sorry, punky.
Soft, spongy.
No,
No, it's
Oh.
super
Right.
dry.
Just the
now
opposite.
I'm going to tell you to do something here which I normally don't do, but take your drive spur out and thump it into that bit of grain there. All right, it's not penetrating far enough.
All right.
Have you got a rubber mallet to use?
Yeah, he's got a
I
wooden
made a
one.
wooden one.
Oh, wooden is just as good.
Yeah.
That way you don't damage the back of the spur.
No, well, don't look at the back of the spur because he was using a steel hammer. He did get yelled at for that.
Yes. Well, what am I to know if I'm not told any different?
If that doesn't do any good, get a drill and make a hole just maybe about a half an inch deep, the size of the rim of the spur, so that it sits inside of the spur.
Yeah, No,
sits inside of the block, and that'll help keep it from flying off.
yeah, unfortunately, he hasn't got a drill that size. So, but he could have drilled a hole
Got
and put it.
indents in it, so I'll just make sure I line them up.
Yeah, that's good.
And I was saying, I was telling Cindy that in watching her, she has a talent that I don't think she recognized, and I sent a nice little email to her about it. And all I got back, I got a nice email message back saying, I never looked at myself like that, but thank you.
Yeah,
Is the fact that what makes her a good teacher is the
I'm.
fact that she talks out loud to herself,
Yeah, I do the
but to
same.
us. She goes through everything step by step and why she does it like she's explaining it to herself. It's
Yeah,
like a good teacher, a good brain surgeon. When they're in there, they talk what they are doing through it in their head step by step. It's
yep,
so detailed. And other people, if they're watching, they learn because you hear them at the same time. And it's like you're seeing in their head what they're doing and why, step by step. And she does that. And she said she never realized that. Because in
yeah,
the midst of doing something, and she'll say, oh, but we could do it this way. Because she's just on the spur of thought of it. And it's different than she's done it before. But she
yep.
never thinks of it because she says people keep coming back over and over again and doesn't know why. And that's the key thing because even if it's the same class, they come back again because you're she has a way of explaining what she's doing at the time
Yep.
and not by pick up this tool and do that. And if it's a little different and she makes a mistake or she thinks of something different, she can go off on a tangent and change part of what she's going to be teaching because that's why she comes up with these decisions. Would you want to do it A or B? Should I do a finial, a long one, or short? And she gives
Yeah.
these decisions to other people, in the as a vote. And then you
Yeah.
can see her brain flying ahead of time, thinking and out loud how she's going to do it and all the possibilities of what it could look like and different ways of doing it. Because she's
But
talking her way
that
through it herself as she sees it in her mind. And that's a
that
good
that
teacher. You can follow that process.
yeah, that's what I do. And I like whenever I've done a demonstration or a live like I do at the moment, I go back over the videotapes to see what I could do better in the next demonstration, and that helps a lot too. Like I learned that when I used to teach ballroom dancing, that the video camera was invented for ballroom dancers because you could video everybody dancing and pick up on their little points and say, no, look, you're doing this wrong or you're doing that wrong, you know? Very,
Yeah.
very, very, very handy. Geez, sometimes I wish my workshop was 5 miles away, Tommy, I tell you, instead of 120 feet from the house. Open your flute out a little bit, Jay. Yeah, well, that's the whole point, Yarpy. Like, there's nothing worse than trying to show a group of people that aren't interested. Now, I did a demonstration fair while ago now at a club, and they just sat there like stunned mullets. There was no interaction, no questions, no nothing. To them, it was just, oh well, it's a day out. And at the end of it, I actually said, look, I don't particularly care. I'm being paid to be here, so if you're not interested, it doesn't worry me.
Yeah, often people come up with the attitude, I've seen this done so much, I've done it before, and you can't teach me anything. They're closed minded.
I
But
had
that
that.
happens in almost any click. I
Oh,
think if you have a click, often it's a closed-minded program, a group of
yeah,
people.
and in a lot of clubs, they have the guru that thinks they know everything and has shown everybody everything that's been totally wrong, but he can do no wrong, and they just go along with it.
Yeah, I've seen a few like that. I don't stay going too often.
No,
I think when we come up with our club meeting, you'll I've got invitations to get out to you and I've got to get your email address forwarded to me, and I'll forward both of you.
all
But
right,
it'll be a Zoom meeting, and it's the third Saturday and the second Saturday and the third Sunday. On the Saturdays is when we meet in the shop and someone does a demonstration and people go along and follow along. But we
oh
do
yeah,
that with Zoom today, where you set up your camera or whatever. With cell phones, there's no excuse not to have a camera where you can just set it up, and then, a wife or someone can have a second one set up and logged in, because we have a permanent license, yearly license, so we can have unlimited. And they arrange them in such a manner is that when they log in, they log in all three of them one right after another, so they're in sequence, in the queue. So
yep,
the demonstrator, or the person that's directing the demonstration, uh, who actually talks back and forth to the demonstrator to on a closed circuit, just in their ear alone, and they'll say, "Well, you ought to check with so and so. I think they're having a problem," or remind them they got to do something else. It's time to see what other people are doing on their projects, because they're sitting there on Zoom and thumbing through what the other people are doing in their own shops, because they encourage people to be in a shop
yep,
at a lathe, duplicating what the demonstrator is doing on the main channel, and then they jump to them to see what other people are doing, because we have a person that acts as program director or button pusher that does that, uh, that actually runs the conference, the software on their computer.
yep.
And it takes some coordination,
Oh, it
but now
definitely would.
we've had it where we can have up to 5, 6 people in their shops following along on a demonstrator doing a project, because we do
Yep.
this in our own shop anyway, and you walk around between lathes to see how they do it. But now it's being done this way, and the person that's walking around the lathe is the person who's doing the turning with his cell phone and showing what he's doing. uh, it isn't
Sid's,
perfect, but it
Sid's,
works, and
Sid's in the
we got
background,
used to
Joe.
it.
Sid's back there, Joe. Oh, yeah, now he's not. G'day, Sid. Yeah, I did. I did tell him that. I did tell him, Tommy, that he had a lot of cracks in that, and that because he was going to fill the cracks with super glue then, and I said, no, it's a waste of time. Get some of it out of the way first. Make sure that tenon's the right size, Joe. You've got calipers now, so.
Yeah, I haven't finished it yet. Yeah, I know.
Oh, you've missed all the interesting conversations, Sid. We've solved the problems of the world, Bob and I.
Yeah, we've decided to set up and make our own country,
I
Fredonia.
said no one can hear you.
Sorry, Jay was talking over you, Bob. I didn't hear you.
We've decided we need to set up our own country called Fredonia. Remember the
Yeah,
Marx Brothers movies, Fredonia, where they
yeah.
created their own country?
Now you've been, Sid. Got no sound. Sid. Sid, you've got no sound.
I said that to him, but
Still no
no.
sound. Still no sound. I can see your lips moving. Still no sound, Sid. No sound, Sid. No noise, Sid.
You need to hold a card up that says no sound.
Yeah, I know. That's what I've got one in the office actually, but I haven't got one out here. Yappy, can you put in that Sid has no sound?
How many followers?
Oh, I don't know how many are on. I don't. With this computer, I can't look at YouTube at the same time. So.
There's two people in YouTube, Tommy and Yuppie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I quite agree with you, Yappy, that you can't teach somebody um, that doesn't want to learn it.
Or someone that knows it all. They're the most dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. As I said to Jay, the three worst words I hate to hear. Yeah, I know.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Just try it again, Sid.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Good.
Cool. For some reason, it was on the wrong microphone.
Oh, I see. How's your day been today? Busy? Oh, still having troubles. Yappy, can you put in that we can't hear him, please? Oh, welcome back, Tommy. He's disappeared, Jay. He's going to reboot and come back.
Okay.
Besides wood turning, Jay, what's your other hobbies?
Sorry, what was that?
Besides wood turning, do you have any other hobbies?
No, not really. Gardening. No, I used to like colouring in, but I can't hold the pencils anymore. It just makes my hands cramp up. But no, pretty boring. You know, I go upstairs and my wife and I watch movies on Amazon. That's about it. Oh, Tommy's fishing again. You're banned, Tommy. That's
Yeah,
it. Get
yeah,
out.
yeah.
He hasn't specified though. Is he at a nightclub fishing or is he at the ocean fishing?
No, I saw his mouth moving, Yarpy, so I knew he was talking.
Yeah, I better. It's 2 o'clock, 2:07 here, and I got to get up at 8 for
Yeah,
this meeting. It has
yeah,
been a
well,
pleasure.
yeah, as always, Bob. Thank you for the chat.
Yeah, and I'll.
Are you going?
Yeah, I got to get up in a few hours.
Oh, thank you very much for coming in. I
It's
do appreciate
2
it.
in the morning here,
Oh, you stayed up
and
very
we're on
late.
at least we're on the same day.
Yeah, yeah.
So is the weather like good over there or is it bad?
No, we're pretty good. It's not quite fall. The leaves are still on the trees, but it does get down at night where I'll crack a window and get some fresh air in. Don't need the air conditioning on.
Ah, so Robbo's lying to you, eh?
What?
uh,
Oh, yeah. Bloody chilly here.
it's nice here, nice and sunny. I appreciate
Well,
you
the
coming
sun's
on.
out.
Yeah, I'd like to.
All right.
What time's your demo this morning?
Who, mine?
Yeah.
Tomorrow. It's 8 o'clock our time, which I think is 6 o'clock your time. 6 a.m.
If I can get out of bed.
Yeah, that's tomorrow night though. Not tonight. Tomorrow night.
Oh. Yeah, the one nice thing I noticed with YouTube, if you put times on them for being in the future, and you say I appear at such and such a time, it automatically adjusts by time zones.
I know.
So when
yeah,
I see
which
it,
is great.
it's yes. So send me a link
I'll do that.
to your page, and I will be glad. I'd like to get up and do that tomorrow
All right,
night and
no
see
worries.
what you're up to. Do you also
Okay.
stream live?
Yeah, well that is a live one tomorrow. Tomorrow
Who
night.
runs it for you?
Jay and Sid, they're my earwigs.
Okay. Alrighty, then I'll see you tomorrow night or hear you tomorrow night.
I look forward to
I
that.
just need a link sent to me.
I'll do that.
So I can find it.
Okay.
Alrighty, take care and have a good day, because it is good day.
Yeah, well, not much left of it now.
Alrighty. Thanks a lot. See you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Or
see you
later
later.
today. Yeah.
Yep.
Have a good sleep. What's going on there, Sid?
Are you with us now, Sid, or not? No, still no sound.
You know what? I'm going to get in trouble, eh? I told Amber I wasn't doing any more turning when I finished that other piece. So she went upstairs and got
Yeah.
movies already.
Well, I must admit it's been 2 3/4 hours, so I'm just about ready to call it quits too.
Yeah, no, I was going to try and keep them at 2 hours, but yeah, a little bit over today.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know what the hell was going on there before. I've changed my headset. Something's going on, bloody sticky here.
Might be just low quality internet, maybe.
No, the picture's brilliant. So normally it's a picture that goes first.
Yeah. Just to go back a bit, yeah, Tommy, that's. I must admit I don't go fishing, but a lot of my friends do. They enjoy it.
I can answer that one for you, Tommy, I think. Is the fact that we're all feeding back through Robbo's because he's deaf and he's got it turned up a bit too much.
Oh no, the big echo feedback thing was from Dr. Bob when he was signing out. I think he took his headphone, unplugged his headphones, so it was his laptop mic echoing back through his speaker.
No, it's still happening now, Jay.
What with me?
Yeah,
We'll just play
mute
music.
your microphone, Robbo.
Morning, Stace. How are you?
How you going, Stace? We'll just blame you, Sid, since you're the last one to come in, all right?
Can you mute your mic, Robbo?
Yeah, wait on.
Now the echo will be gone. There's no echo.
Your voice is a bit scratchy on my end. It's quite weird. It's like someone's scratching
Yeah,
a record.
I'm using the internal earphones at the moment, not the normal one.
Yeah, that sounds quite weird.
But the feed, I reckon the feedback, for some reason, it must be feeding back through Robbo's mic when we talk, because that was happening on Robbo's live last week too. And when he switched off and went and got something, it all stopped.
Yeah. So, can you see Robbo's picture there?
Yeah.
Does his lathe look a little different?
I can't see it very well, but it's got wood shavings on it. Hang on. It's got a fiddle piece on it, yeah. Double posted.
Yeah, look
Different
at the color.
locket.
Look at the base and stuff at the top of the picture.
Yeah, it's a different lathe.
Yeah. You'll have to go and watch the start of my live to see what it is.
Well,
Right,
I could probably
have you got the echo back? Have you got the echo back now, Tommy?
Is it echoing now, Tommy? Because it won't echo for you, Rob. It'll only echo when we're talking.
Yeah,
and I'm getting the echo.
I actually have a problem sometimes with your voice, Sid. I'm not being rude. I'm sorry, but it seems to bounce around the room a bit or something. I'll try turning the mic down a little bit. Is that any better or not?
It's when we talk that it echoes. So when you...
Yeah, your voice is crackly today, Sid.
Yeah,
is that a voice?
I've got these earbud things in instead of the normal headset.
Oh yeah. So the echo's back again, is it? I wonder what's wrong with these bloody earphones then.
But I can hear myself when I talk, and I guess that's what Tommy's hearing too. He'd be hearing me twice. No, Yappy, how you going? Stace? Apparently don't pick your nose when you're on camera either.
It would generally be a good idea to point the camera in another direction, wouldn't it? And you're pushing the finger up in an orifice. Oh, look, that's the best I've seen. No, go back to that.
Yeah, I can't work it out. And I must admit, it's annoying me, because if it's annoying other people, it annoys the crap out of me too.
No, it's not annoying me.
Yeah, I could pick it up last week on the live. So I can hear myself feedback, and it's coming in back through Robbo's mic.
Have you got a door next to your chair there, Sid?
Now, is it when somebody else is talking or when I'm talking?
Now, when you're talking, Robbo, it's fine. There's no echo. It's when everybody else is talking.
So you can hear yourself, basically, can you?
Correct.
Ah, all right. Oh, I wonder what I can do. I wonder if I wonder if it's actually the video camera is picking up the mics of the video camera. It may be the mic in the video
That
camera
sounds
that's
like
picking
it.
it up. I might see if I can. I might see if I can disable the mics in the video cameras then.
It's only done it the last couple of weeks. It hasn't been doing it all along, and you did that upgrade on your computer, didn't you?
Sorry.
Did you upgrade your computer, or you mucking around with cameras before the last week's live?
Well, I upgraded the computer a bit, yeah.
Yeah, it hadn't been happening before that. It was only last week.
Right. Sorry, Tommy. Let's clear this up. When someone else is talking, you get an echo, do you? Right, I've got music on behind me, I must admit. But you can hear Sid talk. You get an echo off Sid when I'm talking. G'day, Mike. How are you?
How you going, Mike?
G'day, Mike.
All right, I'm going to change cameras. I've just set the mic on this one to nothing, so let's just see what happens. Right, Mary had a little lamb as fleece as white as snow. How does that sound to everybody?
That sounds fine.
All right, somebody else talk. Sid? We lost Sid again, have we? Yeah, we've lost him for a minute. You back again, Sid? No, he's talking. I can't hear him. Oh, you say something, Jay.
Hello. Yeah, I can hear myself back through you, Robbo, but it's not very loud.
No, my microphone doesn't run off off batteries. It runs off the USB on the computer. Sid, we can't hear you. Somebody tell Sid that we can't hear him. Yeah, no, I know that. I know what you're getting at. And I know you ran out of batteries one night. You back again, Sid? No, I see lips moving. Yeah, no, we can't hear you, Sid. You got your mic muted at the moment.
You can just blame the host if it makes it easier for you.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry, Yarpy. It's too far away for me to get up and go and change it. No, still nothing coming out of Sid.
How's that working?
Yeah, try it again now, Sid.
So I'm just on the computer one now.
Yeah, it sounds a lot better anyway. Except I can hear me.
I mean, your voice mirrors so he can't see himself. I'm sure he doesn't want to hear himself.
Yeah, that's a similar issue to like. I can speak and then hear what I say.
I don't know where the hell it's coming from then. I wonder if
On all of your cameras, do they all have their own microphone? Could you turn them all off?
Yeah, well, that's basically what I've done. I'm only working on one camera at the moment. Just hold on a second. I'll just try this. Now, can you hear me at the moment or not?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me, can you? All right, you say something, please.
I can hear you now, and just then when I said I can hear you, I didn't get an echo.
I can hear you too, and I didn't get an echo.
No,
back
I
from
can't
the
hear you if I turn the volume off on the computer. Right, just say something now, Jay, please.
I can hear you fine, and I never heard the echo from Sid either.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
but the echo's back now.
Yeah, well, if I turn the volume down on the computer, nobody can hear me, I don't think, or I can't hear you. Just all right. Say something, please, Sid.
How you going, Robbo?
Yeah,
So
right.
no echo. That's no echo.
No, if I turn the speaker volume down on the computer, it alters the speakers on the headset as well, unfortunately.
So you've turned it back up again now?
Yeah,
Yeah, and that echo's back.
yeah, right.
Can you disable the microphone on the computer on its own, not the speakers?
No, well, that's. I don't think so, actually, on this one. I think it disables it when I put the USB in. I'll have a play with it. It's annoying me.
Didn't say nothing to me then, did you? I was on the grinder.
No.
You know, if I've got the wrong setup here, it drives you nuts, Robbo, because you hear me twice.
I didn't understand a word of that, Sid. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just running off the computer at the moment. I don't have any headphones or anything in.
All right. Let's see.
So Jay, I'll have that finished by the time we're all sorted.
Yeah, possibly. Yes, there is a big crack in it, Mike.
Is that another piece of the cypress, Robbo?
No, it's a bit of what he was turning the other day. Peppercorn.
Okay. Are you hearing the echo, Jappy though?
I'm just waiting for Yappy to answer, and then I'll talk for a couple of minutes and see if you get the echo then.
There's no echo at all there while you're talking, Robbo.
Okay, you sound better. Now, how about me? Yuppie, and are you getting an echo with me talking or not? You just lost it there, Sid. You getting an echo with me, Yuppie, or not? Sid's disappeared again, Jay.
What's going on?
Ah, right. No echo with me, is there, Tommy? Ah, lucky boy. All right then, Mike. Catch you later. Yeah, all right then, Sid.
Thanks for coming in, Mike.
Sid's net is dropping out, so say goodbye for now.
Yeah, I kind of figured it was his net. That happens to me
Yeah.
sometimes when it's low quality.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go shortly too. I've been here for 3 hours.
Got some work to do, eh?
Yeah,
Well, thanks for coming in. It was interesting
That's-
listening to his two swap stories.
yeah, well, been around a long time, that's why.
I wasn't going to say that. I thought that, but I wasn't going to say
Yeah.
it.
No, well, that's right. See, some of us old farts can be interesting at times.
Yeah, that's good. Do that again. I like listening to you two.
All right. Good night, good afternoon all. Good morning all to those that are just starting the day. I shall catch you all later.
Right, see you later. I'm gonna head off soon. Amber's just come out and told me that dinner will be ready soon. So like 10 minutes or something. Nah, Robbo's got work to do. He's most probably spent maybe 2 hours more time in here than what he wanted to. All right, thanks for coming in, folks. I'm gonna run away now. I want to try and keep my lives to about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, and this one's been going for just over 3 hours. So it's got some nice spalting coming out in the wood there. I'll give it a bit of a super glue tomorrow before I start my live again, and I'll fix this big bugger up here. I think that's going to be my main problem when I'm coming in from the other end. But bit of pink peppercorn, spalted pink peppercorn. I appreciate everyone coming in. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Yeah, I'll just use a bit of super glue, CA glue, you know, whatever you call it on your side of the planet, but just a bit of that. It costs me, I don't know, 30 cents or something for a tube. Anyway, I'm going to go. Take it easy, folks.